Today, we're going to talk about learning together and supporting each other in this time post-pandemic. I wanted to start with a couple of quotes from Boaler. I will share the link to the full article, but I did want to read you two quotes from her. So, beyond the idea of learning loss, headlines that focus on perceived losses serve as yet another blow to the morale of hardworking teachers and the families they serve. Educators went to superhuman lengths to engage their students during the pandemic, and teachers deserve assessments that give full consideration of their successes and that use holistic measures of student growth instead of standardized test scores. And students deserve the same. Did students lose learning during the pandemic, or did they replace the learning of facts and methods, the sort of rote learning that might bring successes on a test, with knowledge and insights about the world, health challenges, global upheaval, exponential growth, technology, and ways to help their families and navigate complex social situations? There is every reason to expect disruptions in student learning post-pandemic, but teachers were heroic during the pandemic, and data shows that students continue to strive toward meaningful learning, even with many forms of chaos erupting all around them. So one of the things that I personally wanted to highlight is that students and family had to cope with different ways of learning during school closures, and that there are many ways that students processed and internalized mathematics and other subjects while they were at home. The same with teachers, of course. And I don't want to minimize any of the difficulties of the past few years. I just wanted to open a dialogue that says learning continued to happen. Teachers did as much as they could to create a workable learning environment given the circumstances that we were given. When we go into your teacher dashboard, you will see all of the standard information that is available, use in progress, which standards have been achieved, your assessment results, and any awards that might be ready to be printed and given to your students, and the help tab. So as I said, we're going to focus on the help tab today. And there are two places that the help tab information shows up. One is this banner as soon as you log in that tells you that two students are struggling. And the second is the help tab itself. So if we click on the help tab, we'll see which students in your class are having difficulty and need offline help. This is kind of lucky in this class because the same lesson is available for both of these students. So this could be a group pull aside to help Justin and Lisa with this particular standard, which is multiplying a decimal by a decimal. So if we want to see what some of the standards or what some of the questions looked like that they worked through, we would click on any of these balls to preview the task and see what the task looked like. So to work with a student one-on-one or in a small group, you're going to click the recommended guided practice. You can print out the student materials and you can print out the answer key, which is fantastic. If you're having a paraprofessional work with a student, it's really nice to have an answer key available for them or for you. So this is what the one-on-one lesson will look like. If you are doing this for both students and you're just pulling the lesson from the library, the name Justin Simpson or whatever the student's name is would not be pre-filled. But if you are printing this from the dashboard, it will be filled in. So at the top, there's an example for the student to follow so they know what's expected of them and what Symphony is asking them to do. And then there are problems for them to solve. And again, these are here for a lesson for you to have to work with a student. They are not something to give the student and have them go do something on their own. This is a tailored lesson that has been created so that you can help the student and talk out loud and create a math dialogue and figure out where they need a bridge, where they need to understand something more so that this task is making sense to them. Once you've given the offline lesson, you can mark that it's been given. All that is so that you know that you've done that. That doesn't go into a report anywhere. And then the resources that are available to you as a teacher are instructions on how to use the guided practice, which is what I just showed you, a sample lesson that a master teacher has created for us, which is a video, an overview of the stage. So they are in stage 26 right now, and that will tell you what the important big ideas are in that stage, and then the student intro video so that you can see what the students saw before they started working on stage 26 in Symphony Math. The stage overview is incredibly helpful because it's like a mini refresher course on the big idea in that particular stage. This was created specifically to make the refresher more accessible for teachers. The second page is going to tell you the progression, which goes from more concrete to more abstract, and then how to use the worksheets. If there are manipulatives to be used in that particular stage, those will also be here. Another offline support for your students is underneath the curriculum resources scope and sequence. If you feel like your student has completed the stage and you would like to see something aside from the checkpoint to reinforce learning, there are extension sheets which are like a small post-test for your students. So the students will see the same kind of tasks, the same learnings that they just went through in Symphony Math, but they're going to see it with different types of manipulatives or different visuals so that they can display that they've learned the concept, really understand what you just went through or what they just went through in Symphony Math. So this is something you can send home with them and they can bring back. A really nice exercise for students is to do these offline exercises and then grade each other's papers or discuss them and try to figure out if there were different ways of thinking about things and getting to an answer. So you can also print out the answer key so that when the students go through and grade each other or want to discuss what they got to, they have this for the correct answers to draw into their discussion. I would like to introduce you to Achieve the Core. Achieve the Core is something that you're going to see when you get into the upper levels of Symphony Math. When you click on the coherence map for Achieve the Core, it's going to show you how the different stages and ideas in math are interconnected and interrelated and build on each other. For example, if we look at some 7th grade math and click on any of the different standards and then map a standard, we'll be able to see that even though the standard is a 7th grade standard about understanding operations with fractions, it also builds on these 6th and 5th grade standards and is connected to these additional 7th grade standards. So none of the domains stand alone. They are all interrelated in one way or another. And the coherence map is a great way to see that and understand some of the underpinnings of how students learn and what they need in order to progress into higher levels of mathematics. In 5th through 7th grade material, that is the skills review as opposed to the foundational numeracy portion of Symphony Math, when you go into the report, you are going to see under the Help tab almost the same exact thing as you see for all of your other students. However, instead of seeing a downloadable offline lesson for students, you are going to see View Skill Map. And understanding the place value system is the major idea here. So there are 7 different standards. You can look to see which of these different standards coincide with the difficulty that your student was having. And when you click on the standard, it's going to pull you to the cluster. It will show you a task that you can work through with your student. And if you scroll down slightly more, you can see download the example task. And this is something that you can print and work on with your student offline.